Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session we are reviewing a gold Reinhardt. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate that. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what my rates look like, see what other sort of events, promos we have going on, all that good stuff. Okay. Dinner time entertainment, thank you. Ryan player will dance now. Maybe. Well, it's gold, so almost certainly there will be some Ryan dancing.
5, 4,
Let's see what we've got here.
1. Attackers incoming.
Okay, would have liked to block the stickies.
Your heads out there.
Just dash back, man. Okay, I know we're not reviewing the Genji, but like, ugh. You don't need to shield the turret. It's generally not worth it for you to turn around to deal with the turret, says Reinhardt. You put your shield up and let your team then have sort of the space to deal with the turrets for just an instant. You can put your shield up, give them just an extra moment of cover there. Your shield isn't generally for your team, but it can specifically be for this when they need to clear extreme angles, where it's like, hey, the team is getting shot at from one direction, and I very quickly need my team to clear a threat on another direction, like like turrets or a sniper or something like that. You can go, hey, I'm going to shield just this once. Adam Nicholas is here to share that he believes Temporal sucks. I don't actually think he believes that, but that's okay. That's okay. You don't, no. Again, if you want to clear that with a fire strike from here when the enemies can't see you, so be it. If you want to put your shield up here so that your team can clear this, so be it. Though you don't even have to. Your team can clear this just fine. But the reality is that you are just going to... Basically, you don't need to worry about this too much. If you want to, you do it like this. But you don't shield this. You do not shield against the turret. You do not turn around and shield against the turret. If you need to shield, you shield against the team, but preferably you let the turret be dealt with from angles where the team can't shoot at you, so you don't have to give away shield at all. Nope. Adam says, no, you give good advice, but sometimes I have to go against it because the game is played on the field, not in the booth, so to speak. You were a great coach. Okay. This is a change of stance from Adam's typical persona in YouTube comments. Interesting. I want to see where he goes with this one. But the game is played on the field. I mean, that much is true. That's why you don't just train your players as lemmings to do exactly what the plan is. You do make sure that there's at least some understanding of why the plan is, and there's a reason you don't generally micro everything during a scrim. You do have to let them solve some things, even when you're trying to have them work on something specific, because you can't just micro everything for them, because you're not in the match with them. When match day comes. Now your shield. That's just fine. Just back. You'll be fine. Okay. Thank you for reviewing my game. No problem, the Infinity. Maris Piper potato makes the best chips. American call these fries. It holds moisture. Okay.
The payload has come to a halt. Get moving. Bring on. I live for this.
So we just need to wait here. Like, we're doing this, and we're like, let me do this. And I'm actually okay with this level of poke. I don't like that you're scooting back into this, but we just want to wait for our team to be ready to push, and then we want to push. Like, we can do this, hey, peek, fire strike, unpeak type thing, and then we go, okay, shield up, and I'm pushing, and we're rotating. And maybe we're rotating over here to push cart, or maybe we're rotating back here to go high ground. I suspect at this level, you're going to rotate down here to push cart, which is fine with me, but that sort of needs to be a fluid, I'm ready to go now motion. And given that your Zen is back in spawn, we're not going to go out there. No, you're just giving them a shield to shoot at. Your Zen's not ready. Why are you here? Why? You don't need to let these guys shoot at you. Just chill here. Diva's going to be annoying. Diva's going to do shenanigans, but that's okay. Your team can deal with Diva doing shenanigans. Don't let the whole team shoot at you.
Time to raise my ATM. Loading turret forward
So we're going to try to roll this out. So be it. Shield up, shield up, shield. So there's an art to Reinhardt. Don't get me wrong, you have to get damage done. You're actually now in the situation where you stop trying to get damage done. You're too low health. Yes, you're getting healed, but you're too low health. You're in line of sight of the enemy team. You see this situation, and what this is it's going to depend a little bit. Like, if you had a Winston that you were like one swing from finishing, maybe you greed this extra swing. But if you look around, this Winston is fine. You're not on top of anyone who's low health. You're just putting extreme strain on your supports to try to keep you alive in exchange for you getting an 85 damage swing off. That's not generally going to be worth it unless it's a massive cleave or it's going to eliminate someone. So instead, put your shield up. I know, you're thinking Winston's going to hurt me through my shield. It doesn't matter. But as you see, other people, like this Echo, are going to shoot at you too. This Anna, potentially, are going to shoot at you too. So, like, when you get low health like this, you do need to reduce incoming damage. And you do that by putting up your shield, and you might stay close to Winston so that once you get healed back up enough, you can go back to swinging at him. That's fine. But you do need to put this shield up when you get, basically when you run out of armor. Again, you can greed it sometimes. You can go for that extra swing sometimes, depending on what the incoming damage looks like. But you're just making your healers react to heal you right now, or you guys lose the fight, when there's potentially better places they could be putting their support. You're being greedy with heal resources here, and you're not getting anything out of it. Like, okay. I sure hope there isn't any flanker that's on your support that's making them pick between you and them. I sure hope you don't have a soldier that's taken a nice aggressive angle on the top left where he could use some healing, he could use some support, but he's not getting it because all of the support has to go to you. Like, this matters. You're being really greedy with resources when there's nothing to be had here. And I'm not saying play a passive Reinhardt. I'm not saying that at all. You just need to stabilize right now because you fell down too much in health and you're in no risk of, these guys at no risk of actually going down. So put your shield up, potentially get back behind cover, or stay near him just hoping to get healed, and then go for your swings. Okay. Vel says Adam Nicholas. I agree. Temporal doesn't think Mercy Tech is important, but it won me so many games. I think there is much better places to devote, improvement time, and there are much more fundamental things to work on that will pay much better dividends. Again, the Mercy Techs will win you a game, but is it going to win you one game in 100 versus something that can win you 40 games in 100? Okay, Adam is plugging Papa John's. Fine. To Papa John's Pizza. Anton says, on a macro level, what should the Rhine be doing here? Seems like no one has been eliminated yet, but they're losing the fight. Well, on a macro level at this point, he's going to either put his shield up and try to get healed and then go after the Winston, or he's just going to say, I don't like this, put his shield up and back out to here, and sort of try to do a little mini reset of this fight and then push back in. Like, pull his team out and then push back in type thing. No. You're swinging with 100 life. Okay, push up to card. Push it under gas. One more swing. Fine. And now shield up. You don't really want to push them any further. You've actually done what you wanted to. You want to let your team take some space. So you can like tuck here and enforce this, or you could tuck here and enforce this. You're not really ready to push these guys yet. In doing so, you're sort of letting yourself be shot from the side, letting yourself be shot from here, and your backline hasn't rotated up yet. And you can see if you push any further, you're gonna leave. You actually already have left line of sight of your support. You really want to have a defensive corner that you can use. You're not ready to keep going here. And against Sim, once you start fighting her, once her beam touches you, you have to keep fighting her. So now even if you back, she's going to have a charged beam and she's going to push you. This is bad. You literally just pushed too far. Like, you created an advantage, your team created a nice little edge, and you pushed too deep into it, and you got punished for it. It's recognizing what level of aggression you can afford, and that's based on positioning of the enemy, that's based on how much resource, including health and shield you have, all that. I thought we could have pushed Sim and Nana since they were on low ground. Yep, I understand, but you have to understand how your team actually moves. Generally, before you move from a relatively neutral position like this to an aggressive position like this, you want to know where your team is. And you can afford, because you're relatively safe here, to actually just stop and look around and check your teammates through walls and see where they are and see, oh, my Reaper's back here, my Zarya's back here, and my Zarya's eliminated. I'm not going to push right now. And you can do the same thing here. We pushed up, and now we sort of have a new corner. Let me take just an instant to check where my team is. Oh, they're too far back. I'm not going to push into more dangerous space. I'm going to hold this space until my team is actually able to support a push into more dangerous space. One of the things to work on is going to be learn to build a 3D map of the situation in your mind before making choices. Everyone's map is going to be calibrated a little different in terms of accuracy, but yes.
60 seconds remaining.
There is still more to my tale.
Oh boy. Shield, shield. Whoa, 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 whoa. Do you feel like your team's ready to push? Like, they might be, but do you want this? You're down one, they're down one, but you're not actually down one, if memory serves. Where is that? Oh no, he's ready. Okay. Okay, that's fine. You absolutely had time to create the second point, but okay. Face the enemies.
Adaptive circuits engaged. Reinhardt.
Shield. You're dancing. So pick what you want to do. You take a look here. Okay, what's your plan now? Are you pushing forward to fight the enemies? Are you pushing forward to take a new corner? Are you going to cover? What is your plan?
Overtime.
You're walking back and forth? You're walking back and forth? You're walking back and forth? No. You can push forward and take this new corner. You can walk forward at the enemies and finish off this Sim, fight this Ana. You can do all those things. Your backline can support that plenty well enough. But you can't just be like, oh, well, I'm going to be like here, then here, then here, then here, then here. Fortunately, the enemies couldn't really see your shield, so it's not like you were spending a ton of resource. But Reinhardt has to be decisive. You're doing what you're doing until you change your mind and are doing something else. So you could be going, okay, I'm going and taking this corner. Okay, I'm pushing the cart. Maybe. Okay, I'm going forward and I'm swinging at the enemy. Fine. But you're doing what you're doing until you actively change your mind to go do the next thing. You're not like, oh, well, I think I'm going to go up here. Wait, no, maybe I'm going to go back. Yeah, forward. Maybe this way. No. Okay, let's go forward. You can't do that. If you're going forward until you 100% change your mind, and then you can change your mind to go back to the cover. That's fine. But this indecisiveness is really, really expensive for Reinhardt. I would much rather you follow your wrong action until you're sure you want to change it than, like, do micro mind changing 4 times there. Mm-hmm. If you were hired to train some random player to GM, get whatever compensation you want, and they would dedicate 8 hours to the game, how long do you think it would take? It depends too much on the person. Like, I would actually have to spend some time working with the person before I could decide how much we were going to charge and how long I would think it would take, because different people have different levels of motivation. Like, even if it's like, oh, they're going to do 8 hours a day, different people improve at different rates, and different people are going to more predictably burn out and not really improve anymore or not want to do it anymore, etc. Like, that's too hard to answer until I know the person I'm working with. Okay. Yeah, we still plan to put together a team to battle the Bronze Bandits there. Okay. Placed plat but fell to gold. Okay, okay. Okay, good. You can push up again. You're good. Gonna go take the Z sign there. Shield up. Good. Fine. Go take the choke. Go take the choke next to soldier. No, no. You don't need to again. Again. This doesn't work. You can't be going back, okay, maybe forward. No. You can go take this choke if you want it. You can go rotate up here if you want it. I don't recommend it. You could go, no, I'm going to go back to cart and I'm going to push cart from behind cart if you really want to, I suppose. But there is no in the open, I'm going to go back and forth thing. That's not what we're going to do. You're not taking aggressive positioning to stop them from the next fight. You're not making the cart move. You're just giving them a chance to tax your resources, be that your health, your shields, etc. No. You got them to drop. That's what we want. Now stay here. You stand right here and enforce this corner. If you stand here and enforce this corner, you can be like, I swing into you if if you try to push it, and that's great. And if Diva angles out far to be able to shoot at you, well, how can she angle out far to be able to shoot at you without your team more effectively shooting at her? Controlling corners like this, is exactly what you do as Reinhardt. We could call Reinhardt the corner hero. Like, we swing into the corners, we stand on the corners. The corner is like an infinite health shield until they round the corner, but if they round the corner on us, our backline has access to them, while their backline does not have access to us because there's a corner in the way. We like that. And if they don't round the corner to fight you, well, the cart gets up to the corner for free. So it's putting pressure on them to fight you, and to fight you where you have an advantage. You wanted to get high ground here? Okay. I see that, Ryan Danzig. Nope, you can't wait on her. Once you start swinging, no. Okay. You don't need to chase her. Okay. I mean, if you want, I'd probably have just said go over here and make sure your team wins this fight. You can, but whatever. We'll deal.
Unstoppable. Hello.
In payload escort maps, as a defender, when you lose a point, how far back should you hold? I mean, it's not a set distance. You hold at the next place that you can actually set up your 6 people. And what you do is if you set up shallow and then you get your 6 people and the offense hasn't pushed up ahead, you can together as 6 go forward to take the next choke to hold in front of them. Okay. We have a super chat for $4.99 coming in from Adam Nicholas saying, Temporal, this is from the United Federation of Grannies. We would like our 1940s no RGB headset back. You borrowed it and never returned it. Thief. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat, Adam Nicholas. Once again, super chat from Adam Nicholas for $4.99 saying, Temporal, this is from the United Federation of Grannies. We would like our 1940s no RGB headset back. You borrowed it and never returned it, thief. I borrowed it with my time machine. Yes, yes. Okay. Soon, soon, tere, tere. You seem to like it since you haven't upgraded in the last 6 months. It's fine with me. I think it's made of cardboard. Okay. Fine. Okay. So this is the thing where it's the, like, again, and this is fine. This is fine because your team is ready. But do you know that your team is ready? Like, this is what I'm asking for. I'm asking for you to, and we know because of your respawn times and when you went down in the fight that yes, everyone should be ready. But you should just make it a habit at this point to be like, before I go from space that my team controls to break into neutral space or to break into space that the opponents potentially control, let me see where my team is. Are they ready to support a push? And the truth is, Zen really isn't. Zen can give you a Harmony Orb, but his Discord Orb isn't going to be relevant. Anna kind of is. She can do enough. She can go, hey, I can heal you from here. Anna can live with only interacting with your portion of the team. Reaper's a little shallow. Like, we're probably a good 2 seconds before we want to push here. It's not the end of the world. I understand why you think your team should be ready because of the spawn timers and such, but they didn't push up with you. So, like, before you actually round the corner like this, before you actually go, aha, I'm going in and start getting your health and your shields taxed, you do want to. Oh, he did get the Discord Orb on that. Good for you, Zen. Before that actually happens, you want to make sure, hey, my team is actually relevant. My team is in a place where if I push, they're going to be able to support me within a second or two. And Reaper is not going to support you within a second or two. Zen is not going to support you within a second or two. We don't really like this. So we didn't really want to round this corner yet.
The payload. Let's moving. Get behind.
Okay, careful with the jumping. Not the answer. Glad it blocked it. Jumping bad. No reason to pin here. I know it's scary. You've only got 200 life. You've only got 600 shield HP. Put the shield up. Back up to here. See if you get healed up. Or back up behind the cart. See if you get healed up. You have 600 shield. It'll probably break, but between your 600 shield and 200 HP, you've blocked the shatter. You can still probably get out. That's going to be better than going for this pin. Like, this is not a very good pin. This pin is going to be deep. It's going to put you in the opponent's back line. Looks like you're going to end up hitting Zarya, who can potentially survive it. You're going to be separated from your team by a sim wall. Like, this is a pin that is relatively deep into their back line that your team can't really support. Like, this, no. we want our pins to be like shorter pins. We want our pins to be counter pins. We can have pins maybe as follow-up so as for our shatter. We could be like, hey, I'm pinning in this direction, or I'm pinning potentially like this. We're not pinning into the back line like this. Every Ryan says they misclick charge, but only when they are low HP. Okay, you did not mean to do that. Why Ryan jump bad? Actual question. Your movement becomes a lot more predictable, and like in general, your movement becomes a lot more predictable, and you can also set up some situations where you jumping gets you shattered. It's a little nicer now than it used to be in terms of jumping not getting punished with shatter. But if you have like any height to you, like oh maybe you're on the low part of the payload and you jump, oh that's not going to work, or you want a box and you jumped and oh that's not going to work, and the shatter goes under and you fall down in the shatter type thing. They've changed how shatter works a few times, but effectively your movement becomes more predictable. You potentially become shatter vulnerable. We don't like it. Jumping is a bad habit. People should break it. Yes, that is true. How do you know the United Federation of Grannies didn't teach me MMA? Yeah? Yeah? You consider that one, Adam? Yes, Shatter 100% goes under payload. Okay, so like, here we are. Oh look! There's a Reinhardt that we're not even close to taking down, so we're choosing to leave. No! No! Think about, we have to understand where we're going to end up when we press this pin button. If we press the pin button from over here, no problem. Fantastic. I like it. Works for me. If we hit the pin button like this, sure, I'm good with it. It's not quite as good, but I can deal with it. If we press the pin button like this, yeah, cool, I like it. If we press the pin button like this, we end up over here where like the entire enemy team can see us. We're self-stunned by the pin animation. Like, no. No. That's not how pin works.
Get the payload moving.
Everyone heal up.
Okay, so again,
Everyone heal up.
do you see your team? Does your team look like they're here? Okay, you see enough of your team, you're gonna push. Fine. We don't love pushing while we're purple, but if we do it with our shield up, we can deal with it, preferably with less jumping. Okay, are you gonna fire strike during the bubble? No. Bubble's over. You're done. You push until you're in range to swing at him again. No, why are you going left and right? You're just giving them more time for them to break your shield before you get to them to swing at. Why are you doing this? Your decision was we are pushing the enemy. That's fine. Push the enemy. If your decision instead becomes we're pushing the enemy until we can get to this corner where we're going to stabilize for a bit, I can deal with that too. But then use the corner to stabilize, and it's not a very good corner to stabilize on. Honestly, this would be better. Though you'd have to remove the sim first. So like those are fine, but there is no let me give you extra time to take my shield down. What? Why are you doing that? Why would you give them extra time to break your shield like that? You're still doing the wobble. It's not an amazing fire strike. Okay. Yeah, I'm a little surprised with there. Okay, there it is. That's a better pin. Even though it was like, oops, you miscalculated, the target was already eliminated when you started your pin, that was conceptually a better pin. There you go. Okay, we got it done. We definitely need to think more about, hey, is our team ready when we push? Can we check on them when we transition from like safe space to neutral space or neutral space to opponent controlled space? Is our team in positions where they're going to be influential? And if the answer is no, we probably shouldn't do it yet. We should wait until they are. We could talk more about fire strikes. We definitely want to talk more about, hey, please decisively make your moves. Don't let go back and forth, move forward. No, that's not what we're doing. We're not looking to go this way, maybe this way, back this way. We're not looking to do that. It's decisive. Or, okay, now we'll go over to this cover. Hard changed our mind and went back to this cover. That's fine, but not this. Do what you're doing until you 100% change your mind. And like, by 100% change your mind, I mean like you've decided to actually do the new thing. Don't do the, over here. No, not a thing.
Attackers.
Do the Rhine dance. Do not do the Rhine dance.
I live for a good fight.
Okay, Bla's in here with his reminder. Thank you. I appreciate that, Blah. It's not going to be today, but I appreciate the reminder. Maybe Temporal can't afford a new headset and has to use his granny hand-me-downs. If he were on Patreon, then we could donate to him and he'd keep the donation so he'd be able to afford to buy a new headset. Thank you, Blah. Thank you. No, he's still up for the United Federation of Grannies. He's a liar and a cheat. Okay. Uh, Paris just built this ult with that comment. 100% ult charge. Okay. 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 Or Adam Solo funds Temporal's headset, but he gets to write anything on it Adam wants. Yeah, I'm not going that route. Okay. As Rhine on the front line, when do you swing versus shield, especially in Rhine 1v1? So it actually has to do with the incoming and outgoing damage and reading the flow of how quickly you can get burst down and what resources are going where. But the rule of thumb version of it, the like training wheels version of it, is when you have armor, even if you just have a little, you can swing. When you don't have armor, you should put your shield up. That would be the rule of thumb. If you have armor, swing. If you don't have armor, put your shield up. And you can stay in swing range of the opponent or just outside it so that when you get healed back up to armor range, even just a little, you can swing again. That would be your rule of thumb for when to swing versus shield as Reinhardt. You graduate past that rule of thumb as you understand I'm at this much HP. Their Reinhardt is within one swing of getting eliminated, but he's got his shield up, and he's going to get healed if I don't take him down right now. So I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to get burst down to here, but he's going to get eliminated. Or, hey, I'm missing health. Maybe I'm missing this much health. But the only thing that can see and fight me right now, or the only thing that's paying attention to me right now, is a Winston, and the Winston hurts me through my shield. So I'm going to hard swing through it, etc. Or, hey, I have a little bit of armor, but I am just getting stared at. I am getting stared at by, like, Doomfist, maybe like I'm getting stared at by a Doomfist, a Reaper, a Reinhardt, and I don't know, something else, some more heavy damage into Junkrat. And like if I put my shield down to swing, even though I have 400 health here, 450 health here, I'm just instantly going to get deleted because there's too many eyes on me. So I actually do have to wait for a moment for attention to shift before I swing. Like you do upgrade, you do iterate on this, but the basic rule of thumb, which will serve you pretty well as a place that you then graduate from, that you then make adjustments to based on how much incoming damage there is versus not, is if you have armor, you can swing. If you don't, you need to shield. Temporal doesn't like cool people who can dance, so he doesn't want you to do the cool Reinhardt dance. Okay. I didn't play well this game, but I didn't want to send a good Ryan game, so it looks like an ego VOD. Trust me, nothing looks like an ego VOD to me. When people send ego VODs, well, I don't even recognize them as ego VODs because I just get, this is wrong, etc. Temporal, should I send in an ego VOD? You should absolutely send in an ego VOD, Adam. Temporal's third law of Reinhardt, you are low health if you have no armor. Temporal's fourth law of Reinhardt, if you are low health, you do not swing or fire strike or shatter. You hold up your shield until you are healed. Not ironclad laws on that one, but yes. Val says if I picked one out, it's going to be an RGB cat ears headset, but in reality, an official Overwatch headset works better for the branding. That's fair. Nice explanation, thank you. No problem, no problem. Glad it was helpful. Okay, back to our review.
If you get into trouble, I'll bail you out.
Mm-hmm.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Hold fast! Do not let them through! Enemy contact.
So I don't mind if you shield wall a little bit for your team here, because you're not going to use your shield, but now you need to stop shielding for your team. Like, you actually need to go, now you're going to recharge your shield, because you want to be able to stop the cart when the cart gets to this spot right here. When you get to the point of, hey, I want to fight them down here, when they get to here, you want to have a full or basically full shield. And if you just shield, if you're just like a firing platform for your team for too long, you're not going to have that shield. So you go wait over here a little bit. Cart needs to push up to here anyway, since you guys are choosing to hold here, not here, which is totally fine. I'm good with this. But now, you let your team do a little bit of shenanigans with your shield, maybe, whatever. You wait a few seconds for your shield to charge here, cart pushes up a little more, they're forced effectively to take the fight here, and you can't stand here to stop the cart, but really what you're going to do is you and Reaper are going to drop and take the fight together while you have the full shield. And you having the full shield matters because that's how you stabilize. Again, when you run out of this armor, you can go, I put my shield up until I get healed back into armor range, and then I can swing again. That's what you want to be able to do. If you don't have shield, once you kind of get low health, you're just kind of keep swinging until you're eliminated, which isn't our favorite thing to do. Okay. So, like, now it's time to go fight the opponents, and your shield's at half. That's not amazing. That's not amazing. And this is a pretty good situation to fight the opponents in. Like, you could go, hey, we're going to wait the extra moment for us to push this back, but, like, your team has this control, their Reinhardt is asleep, your Discord orb is out. Like, you can wait until this is dealt with if you want. You're not going to deal with the Reinhardt, but, like, you can wait till this is dealt with and then drop and stop it. But it's about time to drop and stop it, and you don't have as much shield as you should, which just makes your life harder. That's unfortunate bubble timing. No. The cart should not be moving. The opponents are not in a good enough situation for the cart to be moving right now.
Don't worry, my friends.
That's
I
unfortunate.
am your shield.
You sort of let them push in too far. You let them keep coming in. You've let Zarya wander up over here and get an angle after having given up your angle. Like, you just went from, hey, look, our team has the beginnings of a concave. You're threatening from this direction. You're threatening from this direction. We're ignoring this Reinhardt because he's asleep. Two, by waiting, and by you running over there, now their team is the concave. We've got the threat from over here, the threat from over here. The Reinhardt's actually about to come up over here and threaten from a third direction. Like, ew. This is bad. We wanted to take the fight here where it's like, yep, like this, and like this, and like this. That was better. When do you jump from high ground to contest cart? I know it depends on the hero. Example, Ashe probably doesn't need to jump down, but Ryan does. So it does depend on the hero some, but mostly it depends on the matchup and how much you needed to soften them up. So if we look at these two teams, Red team is the better brawl team. Red team is happy for the fight to enter the brawl phase much sooner. Well, no, they're both pretty brawly, actually. If we look at this, we see over here, Reinhardt, Reaper, Zarya. That's a pretty brawly team. Reinhardt, Zarya, Sim. That's also a pretty brawly team. But generally, the answer to your question is you want to jump when you feel you've softened the team up enough with your poke phase, which you have an advantage in because you have the high ground, to wipe them out in the brawl phase. You've tilted the fight enough in your favor that you're confident you'll win the brawl phase. So then you go force the brawl phase. The longer you wait, the more distance the cart gets, and in some ways the more positioning that they get. But the earlier you go, the less of a health advantage you'll have because you won't have had as much time to use your high ground poke advantage. So you want to jump down basically as soon as you feel like you have enough of a lead from your high ground advantage to win. That's the real answer there. What does terrible mean? I mean, I know we know what terrible means, but hey, this is why I don't play main tank. Okay, okay. Yeah, so we don't really want to be backing up here because we didn't back up to anything. This is effectively Rhine dancing unless you're now going to back up to here, and I just don't think you are. You didn't have any good cover to go to. Like, you, when you're standing here, had the decision of, I'm going to go forward and fight, I'm going to use the cart, something along those lines, or I'm going to back up to my next set of cover. I just don't believe that you were going to back up to your next set of cover because it's so far away and it gives up so much space. And if that's the case, why are you backing up at all? Because you're just giving them extra time to shoot at your shield as you back up and then come back forward, which I expect is what's going to happen. And Zarya expected was what was going to happen because, again, your retreat options here aren't very good. Stop trying to, like, be this shield platform for your team. You are not a firing platform. It's a better pin. Good, we got our shield up. See how your team was just constantly on the back foot here? You put them on the back foot. You did. With this, like, backing up stuff, never giving them a clean engage. Like, this is on you. Don't get me wrong, they did some good positioning stuff with the angles that they ended up taking. But, like, you absolutely could have just taken that engage. You could have taken the engage right here when the cart was here. You could have taken the engage here and you'd have had backline support. Like, these were fine. You did this like, oh, back up, like you wanted a bigger advantage. Your advantage was pretty big when you were right here. And you weren't actually building yourself a bigger advantage because you're giving up shield while doing so. If you want to give your team more time to poke them, you have to be behind cover. You don't give your team more time to poke them by putting your shield up for your team and like backing up and going forward and backing up and going forward or left to right for your team to shoot through your shield. That's actually bad. You don't really want your team shooting through the shield. And part of the reason you're not in love with your team shooting through the shield is, just as an example, if you put your shield here and your team goes, ah, yes, a shield, let's all stack behind it and use it. Well, that kind of sucks because the limit of your team's angles are like that behind your shield. If you go, hey, I'm going to stand here and not give you guys my shield, and I don't really mind if you give them shield here because you still hope they'll take the angle, but you not giving them the shield actually encourages them to find their own cover. So one person can shoot from here, one person can shoot from here, one person can set up here and then fall back to here. They're going to find their own cover, which is going to give them angles, which is going to be more powerful. Like, cover is better than shield. Angles are best way, well, basically the best way to play the game in most situations.
Is giving out.
So this was like a slow retreat where you didn't even stop cart. That's like the worst of all worlds.
This is not.
If you're losing a fight, at least lose on cart.
Barrier activated.
Okay. This isn't amazing. Yeah. That was unfortunately a predictable pin. Okay, better.
face me.
Don't do this. So we don't like to fire strike in the open. You probably feel safe fire striking in the open because you have this transcendence going. But here's the thing. A little Reinhardt trick that most Reinhardts learn, and now you will learn, is that, how do I put this? The opposing Reinhardt wants to shatter your team when your team does something like Transcendence, like Beat, even potentially like Valkyrie, like Coalescence. When they do, like Rally, when they do these ults that really give your team, hey, this extra power for their push, like, oh yes, we're pushing with power like this. The other Reinhardt is like, I would like to stop that, so I would like to shatter. And it also becomes a good time for them to shatter because you are likely to want to be pressing forward and swinging while this is going on. You don't want to waste the 6 seconds of basically invincibility that you get as Reinhardt while Zen is going by like holding your shield up. You would like to be pushing forward and swinging. So there's extra likelihood or that his shatter is going to hit, except that you know that he would like to shut this down with his shatter, and you know that he expects you to want to be pushing forward, so the shatter is more likely. So there are some mind games that go on here in terms of how is this going to work, who's going to win it, etc. If you can get him to use his shatter and you block it, fantastic. If he gets to use his shatter and flattens you, well, he's basically stopped the transcendence, and that's not really great. You have made this all too easy for him by fire striking. If you're swinging, it's still a reaction test if you can cancel into a shield. If you're fire striking, green light, 100%, he can just shatter you while you're transcendencing, and there's nothing you can do about it. Zarya might still block some of this, but there's nothing you can do about it because you fire striked here. And that's a problem. This is again, one of those reasons that we don't fire strike in the open. We can't change our mind into shield or into pin if the opposing Reinhardt tries to shatter us or tries to pin us when we're fire striking. So when we fire strike, we like to fire strike from a corner where we hit the fire strike button, which starts to wind up, we peek aim throw, and then during the unwind we unpeak. We like that sort of fire strike. Sometimes we might fire strike as the last hit to finish off an enemy. So we'd swing into this Zarya and then cancel the back half of the swing into a fire strike. Or if we're really good, we catch him at the very beginning of the swing, flip our camera into the fire strike immediately. Or maybe we got him low when he's running and no one can see us except him and he's looking away, so we fire strike him to finish him off. Those types of things make sense. This does not. You gifted him the counter to your Valk right there, or to your Transcendence right there.
Hello.
Darn for great theory. Thanks, Professor Temporal. You're welcome, Anton. If you want to do an ego VOD, you'd pay a top 500 player to play your account, then see Temporal. If Temporal noticed it wasn't me playing, I would probably notice for you, Val, if you had a top 500 player playing your account. Yeah. Temporal would still probably shred them. So the problem that you'd run into is, yes, I would potentially still shred them, but what you're going to run into is they're going to potentially be able to spawn camp. Like in a silver game, maybe a gold game, a top 500 player is going to be able to set up pretty reliable spawn camps. And a lot of if you're setting up like 50% plus of the time spawn camps, you get to this place where it's not that feedback or criticism isn't valid. It's that you get into like a place where it's too easy for egos to get in the way of, well, I wouldn't have done that if they were better type thing. And it's like, well, we can't really know the answer to that. Like, how quickly did you judge that they weren't going to do that? Because there is something to be said for, yes, you can read your opponents and you can start doing things that are wrong because you've read that the opponent doesn't know how or can't punish it. And that's a thing that you do. That's actually a thing that you do. You start playing the game wrong in some ways when you're really trying to go on some of these giant climbs, for example. Like you'll see this when you're trying to move from 44 to like 4700, where you start playing the game in ways that aren't really correct, but you're specifically taking advantages of weaknesses. Or when someone is doing hardcore smurfing, they're specifically taking advantage of weaknesses that they're identifying, that they're going, hey, this is not a safe way to play the game. This is not right. But we've identified that this player can't punish this, so we're going to, punish them for it repeatedly until they're able to fix it, or we're going to mix up punishment with it, where it's like, we'll do this thing that you don't know how to counter, we'll do this thing that you don't know how to counter, now we'll do it some other way so that you can't stay focused on coming up with your answer, and now we'll do it a third way, now we'll do this thing again that you don't know how to counter, like that sort of thing, so that they can't get a strategy together to handle it. And because of that, you start seeing a lot of like, oh, well, things like, oh, you're doing this fire strike in the open, for example, but the opposing Rhine doesn't know what to do about it. That sort of thing. And you can get into, well, I was doing that because the Rhine didn't know how to. Anyway, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Anton says, kind of want to see Temporal review some of Kabaji's gameplay. Maybe. Maybe Temporal doesn't play anymore because he knows he is playing wrong, but his hands won't press the buttons needed to execute the correct plays. I mean, I know how every hero works. I know how the game is played at a very, very, very high level, but I am not going to pretend that I am at the absolute peak level on every single hero when I play. But I have to be able to coach everyone at that absolute peak level on every hero. So, like, yeah, of course. And of course, of course there's something with that. That's, one of the differences. Players are training to build their habits correctly, to reinforce their habits correctly, to do these things, to go like that. Coaches have a different angle to how they get better, to how they improve. Their improvement is not building and stacking habits on top of each other. That's what players' habits are. A coach doesn't have the time to spend going, let me correctly stack these habits on top of each other, on top of each other, on top of each other. Let me ingrain them in the autopilot the same way that their players do, or at least the coach can't for every hero. Maybe they have a few they've done it on. Maybe Temporal realized I'm better and retired. There you go, Adam. That was it. Okay. It was a chaotic and toxic game? Okay. Legit question, is it possible to Rhine dance in a way that is actually good? Rhine dance for advantage if you did it in a certain way? Let me think about that for just a second. Potentially what you could do is you could be Rhine dancing to keep yourself visible as bait because you know it's keeping someone in the open or keeping someone in a spot that your flanking Widow is about to punish or something like that. So yeah, you could set something up, like you could come up with a scenario where you're intentionally doing a bad little Rhine dance thing to force the opponent, to keep the opponent paying attention to you shooting at your shield so that they don't, go behind cover, so that they don't turn and check their flanks for the Widow that just opened up or for something else that is happening. So yeah, there's a few specific situations. This may be a dumb question. What keybind do you have for push to talk? Anton says that they use C. I do that in gold games. So yeah, basically the answer to, everyone's answer is going to be a little different. The squiggle button I've found is okay, though I don't love it, next to your one on your keyboard there. But what I would say is most, like, the other option is go, hey, do you have a open mic and then a hardware mute type thing? That's something that I've used before, and that's generally where I would come in, because when you're scrimming on a team, you're generally not going to use push to talk. You're going to use open mic, and you're going to then want to be used to open mic. But hey, well, also very interesting explanation with how smurfing play works. Yeah, I think F is very convenient. Yeah, that's a convenient one. Zeri was screaming for heals the whole game. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so here you are. You drop. What's the play here? Are you going to stay out of that Rein's range until his bubble is over? And now that his bubble is over, are you going to push up and swing into him? Is that what we're going to do? No, you're backing up. Why are you backing up? Where are you backing up to? Are you deciding, like, this was the corner that you were holding? Are you now deciding that you're backing up to this corner? If so, why? Your team is totally set up to take this fight right here. We don't like that this sim wall happened, but really, your soldier's not I mean, your soldier as sprint could potentially get out. Like, we look at this, your Reaper's here. This fight is clearly happening, sim molt or not. It might be reasonable to go, no, we're backing up to the next corner so we don't have to deal with the sim molt, but honestly, you're going to take this fight, so why are you pressing back at all? Like, you need to push in. You could take one step back when he had the Zarya bubble up. Zarya bubble's over. You have to push forward and swing. You have full health. You have to be swinging. No. Better. Okay, but you didn't need to back from the corner. Sure. Don't give them anything to shoot at. They backed. You can push into them. You can put your shield up and push into them. You are up one. That's reasonable. Or you can go back to holding your corner. You can't just put your shield up. If you put your shield up, you're walking at the opponents to finish them off. If you don't want your shield up, you're tucking here where the opponents can't shoot at you. Better. But did you see, like, even the wasted movement, I'm going to be upset about. And there is wasted movement here. You were a melee range limited hero who, after you pushed them back, spent time jumping to the left and then decided to go forward. No, just go forward. And I want you to drop. The drop didn't bother me. You're a melee range hero. You dropping because that's where you want to take the fight is fine. Though, you know, if you went, hey, they're soft enough that we can now beat them in the brawl, that's fine. What bothered me was you're like, oh, I'm backing up halfway. Why are you backing up?
Go. I will be here.
Sure. Okay. You have to walk at him. You have to walk at him. Push back in. Push back in and swing. Not fire strike. Shield. Shield. Counterpin. The high ground is fine. The high ground is not your problem. Like, here we are.
Go. I will be here.
Here's the high ground. Cool. What the high ground means is that the opponents cannot force you to fight them. You get to decide when you drop and fight them. So you can either go, hey, I'm willing to let you guys push the cart a little bit and then drop and fight you. It also means, you know, if someone like tries to come up through here and go around type thing, you can instantly fight them and draw them back. The high ground is not your problem. The high ground is perfectly fine. Looking at this, there's your fire strike. Cool, he wasted shatter. Okay, if you want to walk at him, that's perfectly fine too. Okay, your team can see him well enough. We're going to walk at him. Walk at him and swing. Why are you shielding and hopping to the side? Walk at him and swing. Your Anna can see you. Your soldier's influencing the battle. Your Reaper's right there. Good, there's our swing. I don't necessarily know why we backed there. We were perfectly fine to go for another swing. Do not do this fire strike. Don't do this. Okay, and now you have to decide what you're going to do. Are you going to take another swing at the Reinhardt? Perfectly fine with me if you do take another swing at the Reinhardt. But long term, you're going to end up having to back from this. And you're going to go, okay, do I just swing out and reset because I've decided that this fight is lost because our Anna's gone? Probably not ready to do that yet. Do I immediately drop and rotate to here where they're going to have to drop to go push the cart and flip the map on them? That sounds pretty good. Or do I back into like here or back into like here type thing, loop back towards spawn and then push back up once we have Anna? All of these are options. All of these are options that are much better than I'm going to walk back and forth on the bridge. Now I'm going to back and I'm not going to swing during my Zarya bubble. and I'm swinging as he's pinning at me, and I'm trying to run from a charge when I clearly have charge available, and I'm not going to miss. We're both on the bridge. I'm not going to miss a counter charge here. No! No! I don't care that Zarya didn't push with you.
Wait for me!
Like, it makes your job harder, certainly, but you're not executing correctly. Like, your teams are gonna do a worse job of pushing with you consistently. If you give your team inconsistent engages and you do Rhine dances, then your team can't tell when you're actually engaging, and your team will be, even if you then stop Rhine dancing halfway through the match, your team is going to be used to you not committing to engages, and they're gonna be like, well, I guess we'll play passive, and I guess we'll play safe, because they think you're gonna continue to do this. So, like, even if you fix your Rhine dancing midway through the match, you've kind of already done some damage to your team and how your team is going to engage. And, you know, that might cause your Zarya to not engage with you, for example. Temporal getting kind of flustered. I don't care that Zarya doesn't push with you. I mean, it's... Flustered isn't quite the right word, but it doesn't matter that the Zarya isn't pushing with them. Like, again, you know my view and how we work to make people better is we make them better. We don't care that their team isn't good. We don't care that their team isn't doing the right thing. They need to play around the realities of what their team is doing, but this Reinhardt set the pace already that is causing their team to play like this. Like, this isn't on the Zarya.
Engaged.
Not as young as it used to be.
No, stop it. This right here. Cut this out. You're jumping to the right. You're jumping to the left. You're going to the right. You're going to the left. This is not a place that you can hold. Stop it. You can hold this corner. You can get up on the high ground and hold this corner. You can hold this corner, though I wouldn't recommend it right now. I want this corner. This is what you do. You can push up to the enemy to fight them, though I wouldn't recommend it quite yet. But you can't exist here. You are a corner hero. You live and breathe and fight on the corners. You do not wander in the open like this going, well, maybe my team will catch up. No, in the time you're waiting for your team to catch up, you're letting them shred your shield. You get yourself a corner. You get yourself a corner where they can't see you. They can't shoot at you until you're ready to push. But if they push in, they get swung into. That's how the hero works. The one thing I will say is he's not giving his Ana a chance to nade the Rhine because of the passiveness. I mean, that is true, yes. Okay, this is a corner. I like this. I like that you've taken a corner. It's not the one I'd have recommended, but that's fine. Push up to the next corner. What are you doing? Why are you just dancing here in the open again?
Activated.
Okay. You didn't really get bubble value there. And now you're back again immediately. What are you waiting to happen? What are you waiting to happen? Are you hoping that if you hold your shield up in front of the other team but out of swing distance, that somehow your team will weaken the other team enough that you'll be comfortable, that you'll feel comfortable walking forward to swing at the other team? Is that what you're hoping for? Because if that's what you're hoping for, the only way that you're going to get that situation is if you're not giving the team a shield to shoot at, if you're hiding behind cover here. That's the only way you're going to get the situation where this team gets weak without you getting too weak to then push up. And by you, I mean a combination of your health and your shield. The other option is to go, I'm Reinhardt, I have a giant shield, and I have a lot of health. I'm going to go push up with my shield, but I'm decisively going to go do it. I'm going to swing at them. Maybe I'm going to swing at them twice. Maybe I'm going to swing till I'm out of armor. Then I shield, get healed a little, then I swing some more. Or I walk up to them, swing once or twice, put my shield back up, rotate all the way out. But again, that's a decisive in and out type thing. And then once you get healed back up, you have some shield again, you go do the same thing again. Those are both fine. But you're like just hoping that your team is going to win this poke battle. Play Orisa if that's what you want to do. It's still not right, but like this right here is not Reinhardt. You're effectively AFK. Like you are. I know that's a little harsh, but that was I hope you see why that wasn't good.
This is not over.
Yeah, true. I was being a fool during this. I usually am better than this. Okay, that's good. That's good. Just recognize that this exists sometimes and work to keep stamping it out so that this play doesn't show up. This let me just hover in the open here thing. Okay. You understand you played bad there. That's good then. That's good. Recognize it and then you can work to fix it. All good. I got the counterpin. Shield until the purple's over. Again, this is pretty passive, so like I'm gonna show this from third person just so that you understand it. You need to be passive during the purple, no question. You shouldn't have gotten this nano. But now we are gonna have to push. Transcendence is going, we definitely have to push. Because remember, their Valk is going to last longer than your Transcendence and Nano. So, like, you don't want to be in this same situation, and the same situation will actually be worse because Sim will be ramped up. You do not want to be in the same situation at the end of your support ults, because they'll still have the back half of their Valk, and they'll also have a duplicate. But you don't want to be in that. So you need to change this situation while these ults are going. You need to get more head. You need to do more damage while you have this going. But you're backing for some reason. You're backing. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And now you're pushing up, but it's too late. It's too late. The Transcendence is over. The Nano's basically over. Oops. Echo clones Nano, Ryan wins the game. Quite possibly. But we could have had our Shatter by then, even if we didn't have an elimination by then. And we might have had an elimination. That was gutsy. I'm fine with the pen. It's fine. But now this guy knows you don't have pin, and you go for a Fire Strike. Like, Fire Strike gets countered by pin, especially Fire Strike at point-blank range gets countered by pin, and he's more likely to use pin on you in the first place because he knows you don't have pin and can't counter pin. Like, this is not the play. Hey, Danny. That poor Zen is screaming push? Yes, yes, they were. It's a low health Fire Strike. It's a low health Fire Strike. Yep. You show that wall, that door frame.
3-3. Switching side.
Okay. have liked to block those tickies the first time too. We don't need to shield those. We need to be worried about that. Yeah. Where's your team? Are they ready? They should be, but are they? Are you gonna step up there and fight them? No. Okay. So, to answer the earlier question, this is more right for this team. You'll notice this team has an Orisa and a Sigma who do not expect to beat the Reinhardt Zarya in a close battle. The Reinhardt Zarya McCree Reaper in a close range battle. So they actually did have to soften this team up. They've set up to only fight once. For first point here. And this is correct because they're looking at their composition and going, these are all poke heroes. Like, they need to work up a big enough health lead before they can drop and fight, and they just weren't quite able to find the big health lead early, so they have to keep working and giving up cart distance until they can't give cart distance up anymore, or they have a big enough lead. And now they've either decided they have a big enough lead, they don't, or, well, we just can't give up distance anymore, so we have to fight it, which is what actually happened here. But it wasn't wrong of them to drop late like this. But it would have probably been wrong for if we flipped the comps and had like Orisa on cart and this Reinhardt, this red team's comp on top. It would have been wrong to let the cart and the team get this far before dropping on them. I'm just answering the earlier question because we had a good example here. So much free space. Summer blowout sale. I mean, it shouldn't have been free space. They should have been paying for that space with their resources. Blue team should have been trying to punish them, trying to get enough of a poke lead, trying to do enough, but they just weren't coming out ahead, even though they had the Echo, the Orisa, the Sigma, the Mercy, in the way, and the high ground in the way that they should have. And part of that is because of their positioning. They needed to separate their Sigma, but hey. So happened there? Oh, you want me to talk about what happened? Okay. That's a reasonable thing to ask in your VOD review. Here you are. Cool. It's not our favorite bubble. Okay, you blocked this. So now it's time to push at them. With the shield up, I don't know what you're swinging at. Why are you swinging? Your shield is to get closer to them. Now they have to heal you before you can swing at them when you get closer to them. No back and forth. You're choosing to go back and forth because you don't have health, but that's because you misused your shield. You swung when you had no chance of hitting them. When you get halted like this, again, you have no chance of hitting at this distance. I don't know why you're swinging. Your shield goes up right now. When you get halted, just assume that your shield needs to go up. But you should have 400 HP right now, not 139. And now you're not swinging during this bubble, again, because you have no health, and you're scared because you have no health, but that is because you were trying to swing at enemies from, 10 yards away. Not an option. You just have to, you're not facing the sim. Yeah. Like, against this composition, your shield is a tool to let you close distance on them. Your shield is a tool to get you in range to swing at them. That's always what Reinhardt's shield is in a lot of ways. It's that, and it's to let you stabilize when you're low health in swing range so that you can get back to swinging. But, we don't swing when we're out of range of them. We swing when we get there, and we use our shield to get there. Reaper said stay on cart. Okay. I don't love that. I'd push ahead. I'd recommend pushing ahead. Push ahead when you're still in your team's line of sight, your team's area of influence, but you can go take the next corner. You tried. Shield. Good. Back, 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 back.
Adaptive circuits engaged.
Okay. If I'm being picky, I don't want to fight through this, but fine, go behind cart. The Zarya bubble timing sucks, but you haven't given her good times to bubble you for most of the match, so I understand it. I'm really hesitant to use a Fire Strike into a Supercharger when they do a bunch of extra damage to me, plus 50% damage. I'm way more likely to take way more damage than I do, but I'm especially unlikely to do it when my Fire Strike isn't going to hit the Supercharger itself. Not that hard to destroy Superchargers, it's really not. They do generally get protected by Orissa's body, protected by shields, things like that. Orissa knows how to protect them, but people with piercing damage, like Reinhardt, like Winston, still do a very good job of taking them down. So if you were going to use a Fire Strike right now, it was going to have to go through the Supercharger. This isn't really an option. The risk-reward, not okay. Maybe you went, no, I need this. Okay. Oh, look, you have Transcendence going. We better push. We better push right now. Drop our shield and push. Walk, walk, walk. Stay on the side that Zen's on. Good. Why are we backing? What? Huh? Huh? We had to break the Supercharger. With the Transcendence that we had.
Score 3-4. Switching sides.
But your protection for when you push by yourself is, oh look, I push and I take a place like this. They can't hit me from high ground and my team can see me, and their backline can't see me, and their Reinhardt can only get me if he rounds the corner where he's vulnerable to my team. Like, your protection is like the corner. You pushed by yourself. You're really by yourself. If your team is on cart back here, they can all see you. They're all going to shoot at anyone who rounds the corner to try to shoot at you. Your protection is the wall. Your protection is the physical ceiling, floor, whatever.
Round 3 complete. Initiating match.
As Reinhardt, no. As Reinhardt, it's very rare that you actually turn around to go deal with things in your backline. He was on the cart effectively, but Zarya was already anchoring it, and it doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to beat the team if they keep getting plus 50% damage for the whole team. That Supercharger had to go down, and your Zen had clearly pushed up to enable that, and you still had someone on cart, Zarya, who's a very good person to have on cart. You just had to let Zarya deal with the Reaper while you broke the Supercharger, and then potentially shattered their team. But taking away that plus 50% damage for Reaper is going to help your Zarya a lot.
Ready for battle.
Executing pre-combat routines. Optimizing strategy.
Attackers incoming in 10.
Okay, stand on the Reinhardt.
Not as young as I used to be.
Alright. On.
Get behind me.
You want to go double shield? I mean, probably not with this comp, but okay.
4,
Let's get this dub. Yeah, let's do it.
1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Fully healed. Burst activated.
Temporal doesn't know what dub means. He's not hip to the lingo. I mean, pretty sure I do, but okay, okay. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
Lifting off.
Why do we not feel comfortable stopping this team? So, like, here we are. You're purple. That's annoying. We wait. We're waiting to soften them up a little bit. Sure. Looks plenty soft to me. I don't want that cart to go any further. We just got an elimination. Let's do it. What are we waiting for? Are we waiting for our diva to not be purple? Why are you just shielding your diva? Like, Reinhardt is not a mid-range hero. Stop it. Stop it. Reinhardt wants the brawl phase. You got an elimination. You're up by plenty. Go in. Stop, like, hanging mid-range back with your shield up going, I hope my team shoots at them. No. They're already retreating. Like, this team is already retreating and you're still afraid to go in. The Reinhardt's shield is beyond cracked. They're down someone. Their res is on cooldown. Oh, we haven't seen Haltz just floating here before. Moira Orb, sure, but Haltz not so much. Not a fire strike.
60 seconds.
Shield. Shield. Like, even though Reinhardt can take you down through your shield, you still frequently want to shield these to give your healers a chance against the other damage. That was a completely winnable fight. World's first rule of Reinhardt, you are not a firing platform for your team. Yeah. And that's only become more and more true that this Reinhardt needs to follow that as this match has gone on. I was mad there. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't rush it. Don't rush it. Make sure you have shield. Don't give them shield here. What? Yeah, I gotta admit, I was expecting you to shatter this team from behind. But we can do this. Sure. We can do this. If we're gonna do this, we probably wanted to drop a tiny bit earlier to enforce this corner, but okay. You're still backing up. Oof, you're backing up and just letting them shoot at your shield. Push through. Push up to use the cart. Whatever you want here, but not just like hanging at mid-range thing. You're Rhine dancing. You're literally pulling back and going left and right and Rhine dancing. Like, no. Look at this. You haven't even brawled yet, and this is your scenario. And your team was the one that started with high ground. And you've gone, what, maybe 2 swings total on this team? No. No. Okay. Unfortunate. Maybe for the $20 per month Patreon tier, you can publish Temporal's 20 rules of Reinhardt in digital format. Stop listening to your team, man. Like, stop listening to your team. Like you're coming up with this responses of like, Reaper told me to do this, Anna told me to do this, Zarya wouldn't go with me, and it's like, it's a team-based game, and you're gonna play somewhat around the reality of what they're going to do. But like, you don't pick Reinhardt just because your team asks for it. You don't do things that you aren't comfortable doing just because, like, yes, there's something absolutely to be said for 6 people doing something together as a strategy, even if it's a foolish thing. But like, you are the pace setter, you are the leader as Reinhardt. If you're not comfortable doing that, probably shouldn't be playing main tank. You set when most of the engagements happen, where most of the engagements happen. You have to be able to recognize when the situation has actually changed in such a way that you've gone ahead or fallen behind. Like, you are the, hey, we're going to go do these things. That's how it works when you're Reinhardt. And the reason for that is, again, you have to be decisive as Reinhardt. You can't have other people super micromanaging you because you don't have enough shield to last you to do Rhine dances, to go in, then out, then in, then out type thing. Your team is gold for a reason. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
I'll feel that in the morning.
I just think Infinity doesn't really have his own idea of when to drop and stop, so you can't override what they're saying. Yeah, that's a fair take. I hope we've explained that reasonably. I mean, we primarily answered the question because Anton asked there, but we did go into a fair level of detail of it. And like, Infinity's real issue here is that they're not treating Reinhardt like the brawl hero he is. Like, we want to get to the brawl phase of the fight, and we want to get to the brawl phase of the fight as fast as reasonably possible as Reinhardt. If our whole team is set up to poke, sure, we're going to delay when we get to it. If we're getting a mega poke advantage because of our high ground, sure, we'll take advantage of that. But we want to get to the brawl phase at like the first opportunity that it's reasonably safe or we have a reasonable lead to do so, because that's the only phase we're effective in as Reinhardt. Our shield is just like us slowly losing in the rotation or poke phase, and the brawl phase is where we actually contribute, where we actually win. That's how our hero is designed. So it's like, okay, you got to a point, you're close enough. I won't have to rotate as far. I won't have to give up as much shield to get to you because you got to the high ground, and now I can drop on you. If we're even in our brawl, fantastic. I'm going to do that. Oh, our poke is way better than yours, but you guys have really strong brawl. Maybe I let it push a little bit past, like the other team did on gas station there. But yeah, that's how this works. Good time to push after a pick. Rhine Shield, super low, Animate's already out, Bubbles are already out. Those are good times to decide I'd like to engage. Sure, you see the opposing team is missing health. You see the opposing team's Rhine Shield is really weak. You see that the opposing team is down someone. You see that major cooldowns, like Adam is talking about here, of Zarya Bubbles, Ananade, Bap Lamp, Lucio Amp, though you frequently won't see that, May Wall, Reaper Wraith, May Ice Block. You can even get more minor, like, hey, Diva Boosters, Echo Flight, things like that. Like, you're doing sort of a constant balance of how many resources do they have versus us, and those resources are health, shield health, number of players. It also gets into positioning, and then cooldowns. And you're sort of watching for those major cooldowns.
Victory.
Okay, so
Round 3 complete.
fine, it'll work. So here's what we're looking at here. You just need to stop playing Ryan like a mid-range hero. Like, you need to stop playing him like a mid-range hero. You need to go, Reinhardt wants to brawl. So your options are, you go take the brawl, you drop in and take the brawl, or you push up to them with your shield and take the brawl without any sort of dancing, or you're behind cover where they can't shoot at your shield. Those are your only two options. You can go, I am walking towards enemies so that I can swing at them, and you walk towards them with your shield up and then you swing at them, or I'm behind cover where they can't shoot at me. Yes, there's something to be said for I put my shield up and I rotate out to cover, but you rotate out to cover. You don't waddle, you don't Rhine dance, you don't try to be a firing platform for your team, you don't go, I hope that the enemy team is going to get weaker and then I can swing at them. And if you're waiting for your team to poke their team down, you're waiting for the cart to advance so that they're closer to you so that you can just drop on them and not have to use any of your shield health up to get on top of them, that's fine, but you do it with you behind cover. For now, that's going to be the rule. There are situations where you'd go, well, I want to give my team a little shield, then stop giving them shield so it recovers, and then drop on them, but I don't even want you to consider that right now. For now, I want you to go, hey, I'm simply not going to give my shield up to enable my team to poke. I'm just going to, if I am not in swing range of the enemy or walking at the enemy to swing at them, or specifically walking out to get to cover, my shield is not up and I've put a wall between me and the enemies. Full stop. That's going to be the rule for you specifically. That's what we need to do. Okay. So, like, that's a huge concept. You're not a mid-range hero. If you're not in range or walking into range for you to swing at the enemies, you put cover between you and the opponents. You don't put your shield up, you put cover between you and your opponents. If you swung at the enemies and you got really weak and you go, hey, now I need to put my shield up to rotate back to cover, that's fine. But you were in the process of putting cover between you and the enemies. Like, you have to be decisive. You have to make your decisions and go, I am doing this. And I do not mind if what happened at the first point there, where it's like, hey, we have a lead, you drop, you go fight the Reinhardt, and their other Reinhardt gets you with a pin and beats you or whatever. I don't mind. Should he have won that fight? No, he shouldn't have. But I don't mind. I just need you to conceptually play the hero as it is. It's a brawl phase hero. It's a short range hero, and that's what you need to do. Like, that is the most important two things that I'm going to give you. It is, again, we walk at enemies with our shield up to swing at them. And when we're not walking at enemies to swing at them, we're standing behind cover until we're ready to do that. And that's perfectly fine. Even high ground, that's perfectly fine to just stand behind cover and wait until they're close enough, and then you can drop and fight them. And yes, then you get more advanced, tracking their cooldowns, tracking their health, etc. But for you and for this match, you could have just waited until they were in range so that you weren't going to have to spend shield to walk at them and then drop at them. And then finally, don't do this like swinging when the enemies are still like this far away thing. Like that's just like, you walk forward with your shield up. That's how the hero is designed. Okay. So I know these are big shifts that I'm giving you here. I know this probably, this may not have been the most fun review for you to go through, but that's because, there's going to be some growing pains. We're going to have to go, hey, let's make this a little better. Let's get into your gameplay. And we saw some things that we didn't like, and now we get to make them better. So if you have questions, do feel free to ask. This may have felt a little harsh for a gold review, but you've played better than this, you've said before, so hopefully you can recognize these things and go, yes, I do see them, I do understand them, and I can work on them. And if you don't understand them, that's fine. Throw stuff up in chat so that I understand that you don't understand them, and I'll explain these in a completely different way. I'll pivot my explanation, do it in a different way, hopefully find a way to explain it that makes more sense to you. If other people have questions, they can throw those up there now as well. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, I only engaged once because I noticed the Ryan and Zarya were separate. I don't care, I played bad. Okay. You can soft engage at the edge of melee range if you don't think the fight is to your advantage, just to get cooldowns out. Yeah, you can, but that's sort of a more advanced step, Adam. Like, yes, you can absolutely do that thing. You can go, hey, we're not ready to take this fight for real. We're not ready to, like, actually hard-on commit to the brawl phase, but I'm going to leave my cover, walk up, swing at the enemy twice, maybe swing at the enemy twice with a Zarya bubble, and then go back here, and then the enemy will continue to push up, I'll get healed up, and I'll take the real fight here. And you can try to trade cooldowns favorably doing that type of thing, as an example. It's a little less important than getting the big broad strokes concept down, though, which from this game it looked like Jake Yabro needs work on. But maybe Jake Yabro usually plays better. And if your cooldowns go in your favor, push. If they don't, you back up. Right. That is leveling up of main tank. Understanding when you need to convert the fight from like a poke, a trade, whatever, into, okay, we're going for real. This is the brawl. It would have been better for you to get blown up every fight attempting to real fight instead of just looking at them with your shield and backing up. Absolutely. It gives your team more chance to make something happen. It also stops the cart from moving when you're on defense, which is, helpful. Way better. Okay. Now, let's see this. What do you look for when blocking Shatter? I'm okay at blocking it. Reinhardt's will give you some tells, but the first thing you're looking for is you want to be tracking the opposing Reinhardt's ult charge so that you know when they do in fact have it. And then some of them will change their movement completely when they have it. Some of them will stop fire striking when they have it. Some of them will start trying to take wide angles from their team when they have it. There's things that you watch for. But if you're doing any level of ult tracking, you should know when they have it. And when they have it, the first thing that I'd recommend is if they have Shatter and you don't, you want to play your Reinhardt at sort of maximum hammer distance from their Reinhardt. You can still absolutely be hammering, be swinging into their Rein, but you do it at maximum hammer distance. So if you think of this as like Reinhardt's hammer, you want to be catching them. You want to be hitting their hitbox with that part of your hammer, not with this part of the hammer, not with this part of the hammer. These will all do damage. You want to catch them with like the very tip of your hammer because that's going to give you more reaction time to potentially block their shatters. So this would be the first step, track their ults. Second step, when they have shatter and you don't, play at this range. If you both have shatter, the range becomes a little bit of a game. If you're playing closer, it gives both of you a little less reaction time, but either one of you can shatter. So you have to decide what you want to do. But when they have shatter and you don't, play them at the edge of your hammer. And then start looking for, hey, did they do peculiar things? Like, if your ult tracking was poor, you can start looking for they didn't fire strike, or you can start looking for, wait, he's moving there, and that's telling you he wants to shatter type thing when he's moving funny. Just fire strike when you think they have shatter and they'll shatter you almost 100% without fail. That's not true. In gold, they're not going to shatter him 100% of the time when he fire strikes. He should still get rid of the fire strike habit, but that's not true in gold. But yes, you will get shattered on fire strikes. You'll see the aggression in a gold mine. That's true. Thanks for reviewing my gameplay and all the tips. No problem, no problem. And then Val had another comment here. As Ashe, what should she be aiming to do for justify her selection other than farm Bob plus burn people with TNT? I mean, get picks. Like, she's still a sniper. TNT and headshots, her kit is very good for getting picks. You're looking to get picks. She's a strong poke phase hero that can get pre-fight pickoffs, that can, get lots of generic damage done, softening a team up with TNT. Bob isn't even really a highlight of her kit. Bob is okay, don't get me wrong, but Bob isn't the highlight of her kit. The highlight of her kit is she's actually a good poke hero, both in that she's got good pickoff potential, good pre-fight pickoff potential, and good overwhelming sort of damage of softening up a team to make your team win the brawl, which is what a poke team does with multi-person TNTs. So, like, lots of damage. Bob is sort of a side effect of having softened teams up adequately, but really you're looking to eliminate people. You're looking to be like, hey, we're doing damage, and now you steepen the angle a little bit and you pick someone off, get those headshots mixed in there. Okay. We're going to go ahead and call it there. Again, if you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next